In this movie, let's take a look at some simple modifiers. So I have the text animation written 3 times over here, and I did that simply with the text tool under my shapes over here and text. And I also have a simple curve over here made, and I made that with a simple NURBS curve, a point curve. And over here, this little guy, if I zoom onto it, it's a simple circle, and I made the circle, then I deleted the segments, and I just modified it just by pushing and pulling. So we're going to use 3 different modifiers on the animation, the text animation. So the first one I'm going to use is going to be the extrude modifier. So the moment you do that, and I give it an amount, extrude. That's how simple that is. The next one, I'm going to use a bevel. And the bevel has, I can say, curved sides. I can give it a height of, let's say, 5 in this case, outline of 3. And let's do a level 2 and a level 3. And let's watch it from the side. And let's also hit F4. Again, I'll give a height of, let's say, 10 over here. And a height of 5. And instead of the same outline as 3 in the first level, I'll do a -3 in this case. And there you go, there's my bevel right there. So you can see it's different from the extrude. And for this one, I'm going to use what is called a bevel profile. It needs a profile curve, and that's when I'm going to select that little circle I made. So you can see immediately it gave me a much roundy surface right there. So the reason it's so small, the profile curve, because it's a little picky tool, so you got to be real careful, because your profile curve, I would start with a really small curve like this and then modify it. So right now I can just go and modify this, and come here and modify this, and come here and modify this, because otherwise you can have the object kind of breaking sometimes. So be careful about that. So there's your bevel profile. And for this one, I'm going to use a simple lathe modifier right here. So let's do a lathe. Now the lathe, it's very important when you do a lathe, it's very important to have the pivot in the right spot. So you can kind of tell what I'm trying to go with, what kind of object I'm going to try to go or build with this kind of shape. But you see where my pivot is. Now we could change the pivot, but instead I'm going to go ahead and do a lathe. I'm going to show you another way to do that. So let's go to lathe, and this is what it does. I can then go to my lathe axis over here, and I can simply go and move it. And let's turn off our edge faces, and there you go. There's my lathe axis. You don't want to go too much because you're going to make that hole, and right around there. In most cases, I would turn on the flip normals, because depending on what directions your vertices were on your shape, the lathe object might be sometimes inside out. So you might as well turn this on. And I can also specify minimum, center, maximum. So that's what I wanted in this case. And also the direction of the lathe. X will give you that shape, like a bowl in this case. Y and Z. So I'll do that. Y with max. So there you go. Those are your modifiers. And the cool thing about any modifiers in Max is, on top of this now, I can apply as many modifiers as I want. So I can just go and give this guy some kind of angle. So let's try this. And a direction of 90. And there you go. I can even specify where it's bending from. So I can take the center on the bend and start bending it only from there. You can see right there, very different shape. Or I can take the whole gizmo and move it. And my lathe can have a lot more segments if I wanted to. So there you go. There's our modifiers, your extrude, your bevel profile, and your lathe with a bend.